Coming up on this episode of Trash Pandas All Access.
I'd just as soon be homeless with you living under a bridge than to be by myself and be homeless. And it's the truth.
Anyone in the city of Madison, their primary concern would be, are you taking money away from schools? Are you taking money away from infrastructure? Are you going to bankrupt Madison?
It completely boggles my mind. I mean, over Christmas when we were selling thousands of dollars a day in this tiny little store. It's only 1,000 square feet and 400 of it is inventory. So you've got 600 square feet in here.
Michael used to come by and visit me all the time at the store.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That is authentic. You know where it's going? It's going to my trophy case at home.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah,
that's
like
big,
that.
man.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's cool, right?
That is, man.
Wait a minute. Let's see. I think you can do better than that. On the count of three. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say Rocket City. You say Trash Pandas. Let's see how loud you can get. Ready? Rocket City!
So here it is. As you can see, the Rocket City Trash Pandas officially revealing their uniforms today.
No, it was every single uniform that was unveiled. It seemed like there was a larger ovation, a larger yell of the crowd. It's what we love about North Alabama. We had this team, we could have taken it anywhere. We picked North Alabama, and boy, I think we made a good decision there.
Okay, well, let's talk about
When the now Mobile Bay Bears arrive in Madison, Alabama, they now have incredible, beautiful uniforms for every occasion. But how is it the town of Madison became the home site of the new Trash Panda Stadium and ultimately the Rocket City Trash Panda team itself? To find out, let's back up our story a little bit and talk to Madison Mayor Paul Finley.
You know, it's interesting, having been in office the first time from 2008 to 2012 when the Huntsville Stars were still here, the old Huntsville Stars owner had even come to talk to us in Madison because at that point he realized Huntsville's not going to build us a new stadium and that's probably what it's going to take. Would you guys be interested? And at the time, we weren't because one, we just couldn't afford it, and two, we had no vision of where we would even put it. So fast forward to coming back into office in 2016, and we have economic development started now. We know Town Madison has started, and we're trying to figure out what's an anchor. What could we get that in turn would help jumpstart this project? Well, at that point, Emo Fafori, who had been a part of the first discussions, realized that this is a possibility with the Southern League and with Ralph and the possibility of Mobile. Maybe Madison at this point is mature enough to look into it, and there's no question that we were. And so that's what the genesis of how we got together with Ralph and in turn started these discussions. We're struggling right now in the city of Madison with how we only have so much money to go around. And so with our general fund, we need to be using that for the criticality pieces of Madison. It's roads, it's safety, public safety, it's recreation. So I guess the first thing in my mind was we couldn't be taking money from that to fund a multi-use venue. That's the second part is we've always in Madison known that we needed a venue large enough to hold a lot of the events that we needed to hold here. They can't have the awards ceremonies for the high schools in Madison right now. They have it outside of Madison. We can't have our State of the City address. So if we were going to have baseball, we needed it to be housed in a multi-use venue that could be used for a lot of things. And in that, we also needed to focus on family. So the great thing about these ballparks now is there's areas where groups can come, where families can come, where there's, playgrounds. So a lot of those factors we just felt like, one, don't take it out of the general fund, let's fund it a different way. Secondly, let's tie it together with something that's going to make a difference for all of Madison. And third, it needs to be kid friendly, because we're not just going ourselves all the time, we're bringing them, and they need to be able to have something that we can do. And so the playground, so things that make sense to kids. So those were some of the factors. Well, I think one of the things that I recognized was how much we enjoyed the Stars when my kids were growing up. When you could take them there, and even if it was a concrete structure, it wasn't something that we still enjoyed the fire out of it. And so yes, as someone who was looking for families to be able to do more within the city of Madison, that made a big play into it. The Stars were extremely successful, and I was here long enough to when it was good to go there, and then it slowly started to deteriorate for the reasons that we've all talked about before. But yeah, being a family-oriented piece has always been important to us, and for years to come.
Throughout this process, what were the concerns, the main concerns for those people that opposed it?
I think anyone in the city of Madison, their primary concern would be, are you taking money away from schools? Are you taking money away from infrastructure? Are you going to bankrupt Madison? Those were the three primary things that we've heard and we've always been focused on. So when we put together the funding model, a lot of it comes from Ball Corps and the 5 funding pieces that are there, and that was negotiating with Ralph, and that's where there's a give and a take on how to get the right numbers, but we felt pretty good about that. The second part of it, though, Mojo, was Huntsville had raised or was going to raise their lodging tax to fund the VBC, to fund the expansion that's going on there. So they came to us and said, hey, would you guys be willing to do the same thing? We want the lodging rates to be the same, but would you put your money towards that too? Well, about that time is when we were talking with Ralph, and it was like, we may raise our rates, but what would it be worth in Madison if we took the lodging numbers and it came towards the multi-use venue? And then when we looked at that would probably help add hotels in Madison, we found the funding structures that were needed that didn't take money away from the general fund, that create an anchor in town Madison, which in turn means all that other business is going to come, and it only enhances the money that we have for more roads, for better safety, and better school money. So we looked at the big picture, and some of the opposition wasn't opposition, it was our city council demanding numbers make sense, not pie in the sky numbers, but that they were real. And I think that's where we've had a great partnership, is making sure that we're all willing to ask questions and not just rubber stamp something just because we think it's okay. It's factual, not just how I feel about it. And so the city of Madison is worried, as all of us, in managing growth, but this growth is going to be something that makes a difference for us for years to come. Well, I think a couple things. One, sometimes things work in your favor. At the time that Ralph was looking to move the team, Mayor Battle had already announced that he was going to run for governor. And the fact that that team was coming out of Mobile was never going to help Tommy if he was going to try to win the southern side of the state. Now, along with that, Tommy had always said, when baseball left, he wasn't sure if he really ever wanted it back. So those two factors worked in our favor. But Tommy was a great partner. Tommy and I, Mayor Battle and I absolutely are friends, and we see each other as partners, and Chairman Strong along that same line. But he'll do anything he can if he can land some sales tax, and we probably will too. Everything else we're partners on. And so when it came to this, I asked Tommy, what's your thoughts? And he said the biggest thing he wished that Huntsville would have done at the start is put in a capital fund each year so they could build a pot of money so they could always keep the stadium relevant. He said the problem is Joe Davis got to the point where it was no longer relevant, and we just didn't have the money to put into it. So with that said, he was very helpful in giving me what he considered the good, the bad, and the ugly. And in the end, we rolled that into our pricing model, so we will have several $100,000s a year being stowed away for the next investment that we want to put into that stadium. So and to tell you, has he embraced it? Yes. When he went to Japan 3 or 4 weeks ago, the gift that he gave the folks that he met with was a Rocket City Trash Panda hat. So
Second time today I've heard that story.
Yeah. And so he's embraced it. He has fun with it. He recognizes, and I think in his case, the fact that that's in town Madison, he'd rather see things go to mid-city. but he understands the bigger picture of what's good for this community, and he knows baseball is good for this community. And I think if you ask Tommy, he'll tell you he wishes us nothing but success, and we'll see him there several times.
Clearly, the relationship between Trash Pandas owner Ralph Nelson and City of Madison Mayor Paul Finley is a strong one, as is the relationship between the cities of Madison and Huntsville, all coming together to make this venture a successful one. And speaking of success, the success of the Trash Pandas brand is only made possible by the ability to market and ultimately sell that brand's merchandise. And put in charge of that very task is a woman by the name of Lisa Nelson, who also happens to be the wife of Rocket City Trash Panda owner Ralph Nelson. Before I bring her out from behind the scenes, I wanted to take just a moment to tell you about one of the most influential people in Lisa Nelson's life, her late father, Ernest Carrere Jr. You see, Lisa's father was much more than just a great dad. He was a World War II hero. In fact, his ship took part in the invasion of Normandy in 1944. He would go on to become a civic leader and a partner in a powerful law firm in Louisiana. He held many important positions across many platforms throughout his career. However, his greatest accomplishments were as a father to his 7 children, including his youngest and daddy's little princess, Lisa. Today, you can see his influence in her fearlessness, her strength, and in the way she treats everyone with kindness and respect.
What do you think if your dad were here? What do you think your dad, first, what do you think your dad would say about your choice of men?
Well, first of all, you have to know my father. And people in New Orleans who might see this, if they know Ernest Carrere, they will know what I'm talking about. I don't think there was ever anybody good enough for me. I was his baby. He used to call me his Jim of the Ocean. And he kind of always pulled me up on his lap and always protected me. But his Jim of the Ocean was a very independent thinking woman. I think that if he lived today and knew Ralph, he would love him. I mean, my mother loved Ralph because he was one of the few people who could make her laugh. And she laughed all the time. He would dance on the porch when he's barbecuing and singing songs. My mother just thought that was the funniest thing in the world. But that's what Ralph does when he barbecues. He puts on his apron and his chef's cap and he dances to the music that he likes and he sings. So he's not really putting on a show, it's just who he is. But she got a kick out of that. But back to your question, yes, ultimately I think my father would love and appreciate Ralph as much as I do. But I have to be very honest that my father was not the kind of guy who was ever easy on any man that came in to his family to date one of his daughters. I think he's always been very proud of me. I've always worked, I've always made my own money, I've always made my own way, I've never relied on the family to give me handouts. And that was always very important to me because I wanted to be my own person, I wanted to be independent. And Ralph and I have lived the same life. You know, we make our way. We've had our rough times and we've had our really good times. But I can adjust. As I said to him one time, I said, if I have to be homeless, I'd just as soon be homeless with you living under a bridge than to be by myself and be homeless. And it's the truth. I don't really care what my surroundings are. I enjoy his company that much. I'd be very happy living under a bridge with him. I was single and 37, and quite frankly thought I was never going to meet anybody that I'd settle down with. And a couple of my girlfriends and I decided to get together for dinner. It was sort of the last girls' night before we started our big diets the next day. And one of the girls said, oh, Ralph Nelson's coming by to pick up a key. We're like, oh, who's Ralph Nelson? And she explained that he was with the Diamondbacks, which I didn't know what they were. And she said, oh, it's our new baseball team that's coming. And so we went on with our evening, and at some point during the evening, Ralph Nelson stopped by. But I happened to be outside across the street from my girlfriend's house, where my other girlfriend lived, petting her dogs and meeting her parents. And this turquoise Impala with dark windows drove down the street behind me. And my one girlfriend loves new men, so she went running after the car, Ralph's here, Ralph's here. And literally every hair on my body stood on end. I turned and looked over my shoulder, and all I could see was the silhouette of a head and shoulders in the car. And I said, explicative, run for the hills, you're gonna fall in love. So long story short, I tried to get out, but my car was blocked. So I went into the house, and as one girlfriend took Ralph for a tour of her home, in every room, she would say, oh, are you gonna go to the Phil Collins concert? And Ralph would say, well, you know, I'd go if I had somebody like Lisa to go with me. And I'm in the other room just fuming, because I'm trying to ignore him. I'm scared out of my mind. I'm gonna fall in love with this guy. And I just got more and more irritated. And for the next 3 hours, I basically ignored him, laying on the floor with my back to him, petting my girlfriend's dogs. And, you know, he'd ask questions like, so, Lisa, have you ever been in love? And I would answer indignantly, yes, I have. And do you even know what it is? Anyway, long story short, I was very unpleasant all evening. But at some point, I broke down my guard. We started talking, and the next afternoon when he got home from work, we moved in together into our townhouse apartment. That was March 8th, 1997, and we've been together every night since.
Wow.
So it's weird, but when his energy came down the street inside of a car and I'd never even laid eyes on him, it clashed with my energy, and I instantly knew.
What were some of the things, though, that you had to, you had your way about this thing, and his was, maybe a little bit
well, a
different?
lot of it.
Or
well, first of all,
completely?
you have to understand, when the umpires walked out, that was a pretty major deal. And our life became consumed in the legal processes of the umpire strike. And Ralph was working in New York, and at the time we had moved to Dallas, because I worked for a hotel company based in Dallas, and he's able to commute, which is what he was doing in Scottsdale. He'd commute from Scottsdale to New York. And it always worked fine. But now I'm in Dallas, I'm working for a hotel company that had over 500 hotels at the corporate office. He's at Major League Baseball dealing with this whole court and deposition situation. And he's in New York, I'm in Dallas. And there was a year in Dallas where I think he made it home for 2 weeks in that year.
Wow.
They were working nonstop. And at the time I thought, you know what? This is still relatively new. I mean, we've been together a couple of years, but it's like, if this is what Major League Baseball demands of an individual, do I really want to be a part of that? Because this was somebody I really loved. It's somebody, forget the love, it's somebody I liked. One of the things that drew me to Ralph was that he made me laugh. And I tell people all the time who are, oh, I want to have a relationship like you and Ralph. And I said, then find someone who makes you laugh. Because let me tell you, there's a million things, and this is going to happen every day of your life, that's going to tick you off beyond words. So if you can have a husband or a boyfriend or a significant other, girlfriend that can make you laugh, it just kind of breaks the ice and makes you realize that maybe things aren't quite as bad as you think they are.
When the new Rocket City Trash Panda Stadium opens up in 2020, their merchandise store will be right there in the stadium. In the meantime, the Trash Pandas Emporium can be found at Bridge Street Town Center. And after getting to know just a few members of the merchandise team, I think you'll agree the merchandise is out of this world. But the people and the relationships they share are what will ultimately set the Rocket City Trash Pandas brand apart from the rest.
How does it make you feel to be able to direct these talents that you have?
Yeah, and it's more leading than directing. They're really all very accomplished young people, and they're young people. They're very energetic, they're very willing, they're very capable, they're very able. They are innovative. They come up with some of the policies and the procedures. David's done remarkable things here at the store. We think the store is a fun place to work in, a fun place to go to. So, and we've just looked to bring in more really great young people. But we have kids who are high schoolers who help out at the warehouse with Lizzie. We have, college kids. We have kids who are just out of college. We've got sports management degreed individuals here. It's a variety, but every one of them, we love every one of them. They're terrific.
Where do you see you and Ralph 5 years from now?
On an island somewhere. No, that's the wishful thinking. I think we'll still be here. I think with a very, very successful baseball team and a very successful merchandise business, and probably looking to spread our wings into some other ventures possibly.
Yes, I'm unless I am like, it's a Monday or a Friday, it's pretty much me, and I'm pulling every item, wrapping every item, putting a label on every box, and then sending it out, and then answering all the emails and phone calls of people.
Okay, and how did you end up in this position? How did you end up here?
I was actually on my way back to my sister. So my family is from Detroit. So my sister still lives there. She's a flight attendant, and she flew into Nashville. So I went and picked her up, and on my way back, I was getting messages, and I saw some information that the Trash Pandas had put a store here at Bridge Street. So I told my sister, I said, when we get back, we are going to Bridge Street. We're not stopping anywhere. We're going to Bridge Street. We're going, and I actually met Lizzie. Lizzie was the first person. Lizzie is who's over there, was here in the store. She was the first person I met. I got an application, put the application in, and I started as an associate here the next day. It was a great transition because of the leadership and position. Miss Lisa is the best, and she helped me transition right into it, and it went pretty smooth. It's like it was meant to be.
Well, that was going to be my next question too. Is what kind of relationship do you have with Ralph and Lisa Nelson?
That is my family. This entire team has become my family. I've actually never, worked with such a great bond, and whenever, it doesn't get, it's never a hard time because I know I can call Lisa and Ralph and get everything taken care of and dealt with. So, that's actually a great bond that we have too. So, opening day, I think my most, my favorite part about that is going to be seeing the kids, the community. We get so much little ones to come in, and so many little ones, and I just can't wait to see it all come to life. Michael used to come by and visit me all the time at the store. He put in an application on like his second or third visit, and what we did was we processed it. We called over to the office, and I told him that I had a great guy I want to hire. Oh yeah, clean the windows. He cleans the restroom. He helps us get stock back on the floor. Michael has a list of tasks that he has to do when he comes in. He usually gets it done so fast. That's my boy. Oh yeah.
One. Cheese. Look at the camera, Michael. 3, 2, 1. Do you mind signing a baseball for me?
Yes.
Can you give me your autograph?
Yes.
Huh?
Yes.
You give me your autograph right there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you write that to my best friend Mojo? That'd be great.
I can't spell that.
No, that's good, man. Just like that. I love it. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you.
You're welcome. You did good, dude.
You did, man. I'm proud of you, man. Good job.
Yeah.
So,
You got me an autograph, Michael Baseball. Look at that.
I don't think anyone else has one of those.
That's right.
That's
Yeah.
one of a kind.
That's
man.
one of a
That's
kind,
authentic.
right?
Yeah.
That's right.
That is authentic. You know where it's going? It's going to my trophy case at home.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's
Just like
big, man.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's cool, right?
That is, man.
It completely boggles my mind. I mean, over Christmas when we were selling thousands of dollars a day in this tiny little store. It's only 1,000 square feet and 400 of it is inventory. So you've got 600 square feet in here. And we were selling out of everything. And I kept saying, it's t-shirts and hats. I don't understand this. I couldn't wrap my brain around it. I still have trouble wrapping my brain around it. It's a juggernaut.
All these venues are starting to be exciting.
You gonna let us play a song on your
Let's do it, man.
box there? Wait, I want him to record it. Can you record it?
Because there's a Margaritaville option.
Yeah.
The one thing I know is you'll never see Ralph take a beer in the ballpark.
Really?
No. He will never, ever have a drink in a ballpark because he's worked in ballparks for so long and he has to be focused on the game. You will never see him drink.